Well, good morning and happy Labor Day to you. And hopefully some of you are enjoying a day off, but Clyde,
Yes.
we are here and we are happy to be here.
Yeah, Mona, we're just celebrating. We're going to the Channel 9 working on Labor Day party here in just a few minutes, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, you know what, Clyde? I got some fun facts for you about Labor Day.
Okay.
The first Labor Day occurred on September 5th in 1882 in New York City. The holiday's origins stem back to the 1800s when the average American, get this, Clyde, the average American worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
And wait, even children aged 5 and 6 worked in factories and mines.
Wow,
You know,
in mines.
I know, it makes you rethink, Aaron should have worked at an earlier age. Okay, but, and then another fun fact is people avoid wearing white clothing after Labor Day because it is unofficially marked as the end of summer. And as you know, I've been preaching that for years. I think it's okay to wear white after Labor Day, but that's just me.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll see what you do after today.
That's right.
All right. Well, as you know, since you got a little time to kick back, you might want to take on a few projects around the house. And, well, who better to give you some inspiration than John Denny? He's with Allie now.
Well, there's a sense of satisfaction after you finish a project, especially if you made it with your own hands. Well, today we are going to channel our inner Joanna Gaines and get to work. I want to welcome back John Denny from Woodcraft. Thank you so much for being here. So why don't we just dive in and start talking about this project?
These are serving trays that are refurbished or repurposed from old cabinet doors. Cabinet doors you'd probably have in your basement or garage.
Which is extremely resourceful and a great way to use these reclaimed woods. Okay, so what is step number one if we want to turn these into a lovely tray?
Well, I would first go ahead. We'll get you to go ahead and drill for the handles to go on.
Okay.
And I went ahead and just pre-marked the center spot, and this little device here is just going to line up our holes for where we want the hardware to go.
So with this tool, so would you buy the handles first and then just so you know what?
No, that's a great question. This tool actually adjusts from a handle width of 2.5 up to 5 inches.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it's a very versatile tool.
And if you don't have this tool, then what?
Just a little bit of quick math. Find the center.
Measure it out.
Exactly.
Okay.
This will just ensure that we're
all right
where we need to be.
Here we go.
So
let's
we'll
not
go there
mess this
first.
up. Okay.
Just go
so
in
right
there.
in here. All right.
You're just going to drill all the way through.
All the way through. Ooh, okay.
Nope, you're good. Go ahead and pull the trigger. There you go.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do this side.
Power tools.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Was that Tim the Tool Man Taylor? Howdy ho, neighbor.
There we go. Oh, you do know the show. Okay, there we go.
All right, next step.
Next step, why don't we're just going to imagine we already pre-drilled those. I would go ahead and start staining.
Staining.
Or painting or whatever type of finish you want to use.
And you can really be a little bit more versatile with this, right? You can kind of choose whatever stain.
Oh, most definitely, yeah. This is a Java Gel Stain by General Finish, the most popular color. This is... right, I don't know.
I love those handles.
Yeah, and this actually has 3 coats of stain on it. Or you can brush it on, wipe it off, and
sure.
It's very, very versatile.
Now so do I just kind of dip this in and go to town? All right. From a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult would you say this project is?
You can make this project as easy or difficult as you would like. I went ahead and just cut the sides a little bit to eliminate where the screw holes and the handles were. See, you could leave them open or leave them on and just fill them. So
this is nice, and this one's nice because we were talking prior. This kind of has the edges, so when you have the cabinets, it kind of naturally has that divot. So if you have drinks or something on
this is actually the back side of the door, whereas this is the front side of the raised panel door. So if you go in your kitchen to get a cup of coffee, this is what you're opening up.
Okay, I see.
So we're actually going to be working on the back side.
Oh, okay. This is nice. And from a cost perspective too, how much from beginning to end would something like this cost?
Oh, it could be anything as little as $10.
Oh, $10. Okay. That's a steal.
Upward of $20. I mean, if you already have the cabinet door and you're repurposing it from your house, that's one expense you don't have to deal with.
Excellent.
If you have to go out and buy a cabinet door, say the Habitat Humanity
Oh, right.
store or something, it's in a couple of dollars for a door there. The stain, this is a quart, but I mean, easily a pint would do your project very easily. But hopefully you'd want to get a quart because you're going to make 4 of these. One for you and three for everybody.
Holidays, for
That's
gifts.
right.
It's, holidays are right around the corner. So with that said, we're running out of time right now. Where can people find more information about you?
Woodcraft.com, just pull up the Cincinnati store.
Cool, awesome. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you.
Well, coming up here on Cincy Lifestyle, we go across the color line with local author Mark Knut. He'll talk about his recently published book and some of the lessons he learned while reporting on race in our community. And are you inclined to learn a little bit more about your hometown? Well, we've got the scoop about former politician Boss Cox and the grip he had on Cincinnati. Why? Because they're Cincinnati curiosities, of course. We have all that and more right after the break.
Welcome back. We're continuing on the theme, Labor Day, a time to kick up your feet and relax. And what better way of doing that than with a drink in your hand? And to help us do that, we went to an expert. So welcome this morning, mixologist Lauren Pellecchia. She is here to share one of her favorite concoctions with us. Lauren, thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what you're making and what goes into it.
Right, so I'm Lauren Pellecchia from Neals Tavern in Anderson Township. And today I want to share one of my favorite late summer cocktails. It's delicious and super easy to make at home. I'm going to be using Ohio's own Buckeye vodka, fresh watermelon juice, and fresh squeezed lime juice, because when it comes to citrus, fresh is always best, and my homemade blackberry honey simple syrup. This is delicious in cocktails, in iced tea, and even over ice cream. I love this stuff.
Well, that sounds pretty good, so take it away.
So this is a cocktail I like to call my summer crush, because I'm just not ready to say goodbye to summer yet. So we are going to start with an ounce and a half of Buckeye vodka, or the vodka of your choice, into a 16-ounce mason jar that I've already filled with ice. Next, I'm going to use 3/4 of an ounce of the blackberry honey simple syrup right into the mason jar. I said I love this stuff. It is good on everything. With 1/2 ounce of the fresh squeezed lime juice. It gives this drink a really beautiful, fresh pop. The fresh is really important here. Next, I'm going to use about 3 to 4 ounces of fresh watermelon juice. You're going to fill to right about there on your mason jar. Some of my favorite summer flavor combinations are watermelon and berries and citrus, all of these beautiful colors and bright, fresh flavors. I got my watermelon and my honey from my local farmer's market this past week. There's still all kinds of wonderful produce out there. Fresh is always best when it comes to these cocktails.
Sounds refreshing, yeah.
With my lid on my drink, my mason jar, I'm going to give it a shake. Now I'm going to top it with a little bit of club soda. I like a little bit of bubbles, a little bit of effervescence. It helps to carry through the delicate flavors in this drink. I love mason jar cocktails at home because it's one container, filled, shake, ready to drink. Or if I know I have company coming over, I can pre-build the drink without the ice, keep it in the fridge, and as soon as my guests show up, I ice it, and we are ready to go.
All right. So right quick, as we're winding down here, if people want to find out more, if they want to see some of your recipes, how can they find you?
I have a blog called elvissips.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Elvis Sips.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us this morning.
Thank you so much, Clyde.
Well, if you know much about Cincinnati history, you may know about Boss Cox, the man who gave us an unfinished subway, a third political party, and briefly, perhaps even magically, a political union between Cincinnati's west side and east side. Hey, that fact alone makes Boss Cox a Cincinnati curiosity.
George Barnsdale Cox, better known as Boss Cox, gets a bad rap these days. Oh, sure, he was the machine politician who controlled Cincinnati from 1880 to 1910. But he demonstrated one unusual skill. Cox was able to bring Cincinnati's east side and its west side together. Imagine that. It all began in 1894 when Cox's Republican machine looked up from the crowded basin and set its sights on 5 hilltop villages: Avondale, Clifton, Linwood, Riverside, and Westwood. Cox decided those 5 villages were just waiting to be annexed by Cincinnati. It apparently did not matter that these 5 villages looked down from the hilltops and saw an immense, crime-ridden, filthy metropolis wallowing in debt and ruled by a gang of crooks. They wanted no part of that mess. So Cox changed the rules. He marched up to Columbus and had the state legislature pass something called the Lillard Law. The law is named, by the way, for Robert W. Lillard of Cincinnati, who introduced the law while serving in the Ohio General Assembly. Cox rewarded him with a no-show job in City Hall. Under the Lillard Law, any city seeking to annex a neighboring village was obliged to count its own votes alongside the votes of the target village. In other words, Cincinnati's 50,000 voters had to vote on annexation in the same election as the 2,200 voters living in the 5 hilltop villages. The suburban villagers thereby learned an important lesson about Boss Cox. You can't win, you can't break even, and you can't quit the game. In the election of April 2nd, 1894, Avondale and Riverside surrendered and voted to merge with Cincinnati, while Clifton, Linwood, and Westwood voted against being swallowed up by the Cox machine. Their objections were drowned out in the flood of Cincinnati voters favoring annexation. The final tally, 49,467 in favor and 4,467 against. The vote was contested, the Lillard Law assailed, but it was all for naught. The vote stood, and the hilltops were shepherded into Cincinnati's domain. For a brief and shining moment, Westwood on the west side and Clifton and Linwood on the east stood shoulder to shoulder against the big city. Then, finding themselves as competing neighborhoods inside Cincinnati, they scrambled to fight for their own slice of the municipal pie, and the east-west divide slammed shut once again.
And pretty much forever, Greg Hand, who is the author of that great writing, that great report, is with us. What was it that interested you about this? Was it the Lillard Law that I can't say?
The whole annexation story of Cincinnati is just fascinating. And when I discovered the Lillard Law,
there you go. Makes you feel like Tom Brokaw, doesn't it?
It really got some insight into Boss Cox, just how broad this guy's tentacles reached, all the way up to Columbus, you know.
Well, how did he get all this power in the first place?
You know, he started out as a saloon keeper, and as a saloon keeper, you know, you get to know the feeling of the neighborhood and that sort of thing. And the powers that be discovered this guy could deliver votes, you know. Just the influence that he had in his ward. And so he ran once. He was had a short term on city council, but just didn't get elected again. But he delivered the votes and delivered the votes. And he was smart enough that he delivered the votes 40% for the Democrats. So even though he was the Republican boss, he made sure that there was a minority of Democrats so that they wouldn't get out of hand and challenge him.
Right. Very strategic.
That's smart.
And obviously the East and West agreeing didn't last very long, so how did they get rid of him?
Finally, it got to be too much.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of graft, a lot of corruption to keep a big machine going, and people realized our schools were in terrible shape, our roads were in terrible shape, city services were just falling apart. This is when electricity was coming in, streetcars were coming in, and they could look around at other cities and say, they've got all this wonderful stuff, why not us? And they finally realized it was because Boss Cox had 3,000 people in no-show jobs that was siphoning off the public funds. And so the corruption charges finally turned the page.
And his shadow still hovers over Cincinnati today, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, one of the shadows is the unused subway. This was one where Cox and his machine might actually have gotten that subway built, but the Reform Party didn't want a machine success, and so they shut it down.
Ah. And what was the name of that Reform Party?
Oh, the Charter Party.
Ah, yes. That was that third political party that we have in Cincinnati.
Yes.
All righty. Always fascinating, Greg. Thank you so much.
amazing.
I
Thank you
can't
so
wait.
much.
What's next?
I can't wait to read your writing for the next one. Thank you, Greg, for being
Thank
with
you.
us.
Absolutely.
Our nation is going through a time of change in terms of race relations, and it's been a challenge for a lot of us. But a Cincinnati journalist whose job it was to cover race before it became a hot topic has shared in a new book what he learned in his work. Well, I had the privilege of interviewing Mark Knut when his book came out. But one man has spent a quarter century observing and reporting on that quest. And now he's written a book about what he's seen and understood about the color line in Cincinnati. We're talking about the book Across the Color Line, reporting 25 years in Black Cincinnati. And its author is Mark Knut, former Inquirer reporter and now an educator in social justice at Miami University. Mark, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Clyde.
I have to tell you, I'm a big fan. I just am. So I'm glad to have you and this opportunity to talk to you.
Likewise, thank you.
In a nutshell, Mark, what's the book about?
Well, the core of it is 80 stories I'd written for the Inquirer, substantial stories in a variety of subject matters, profiles, historical pieces, neighborhood stories. And the real trick was to frame that with an original introduction and an author's postscript. Was really honored that retired federal judge Nathaniel Jones wrote the foreword, which is really humbling and is typical of Judge, quite powerful. One of my former executive editors, Tom Callanan, I asked him to write an afterword, and he gave larger context to the whole issue of covering the Black community.
Sure, sure. So, you know, I'm guessing you didn't start out planning to work the equality, social justice, racial divide beat, because there really wasn't a beat like that. How did you come about the passion that you bring to this project?
You know, there was always an intellectual and academic interest in Black culture and Black history and, you know, the tortured race relations and history of this country. But I got here to the Inquirer in May of 1993, and a month later, Larry Beaupre, the editor at the time, called me into a meeting with 7 or 8 editors and said, we want you to do a series on race relations, which I interviewed you for.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, kind of from the media piece. And we ended up putting together a 6-part series called A Polite Silence, which published in November of 1993. And I took some pieces of that for the first chapter of the book. But that really lit something in me that just kind of made me realize that it was bigger than me and bigger than my work, and I just kept getting a lot of positive affirmations from people in the community.
Sure, sure. A little bit of time left. Mark, what do you hope people will take away from this book?
You know, we're one of the top 10 segregated regions residentially in the country, and I think, you know, here in many parts of our country right now, we don't know each other across our own kind of tribal lines. And there's so much out there for us. You know, people would say to me, it's so nice you do this work, but what I got so much out of it. I was given so much. It's at the UC Press website, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, so it's online and at Joseph Beth and other bookstores.
All right, Mark, thank you for being here. Your work has not been easy. You've suffered a lot of critique for the work you do, but I appreciate you standing strong.
Thank you, Clyde.
Indeed.
Well, we'll be back with more Cincy Lifestyle on the other side of the break. Plus, have you checked us out on Facebook? Oh my goodness, that's where we post all our guest segments and community stories. They're right there, so you can watch and share with your friends. So like and follow us right now at facebook.com/Cincy Lifestyle. We'll be right back.
Well, that's Cincy Lifestyle for Monday, September 7th. Mona, I hope you had a great weekend.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, I did. And you know what? I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm going to really get back in there and get back to work as well.
Yes, indeed. Work, work, work. We live for it. Labor Day is a good time to talk about that. Hey, by the way, if you want to share your thoughts or some ideas with us, here are some ways you can do that. We appreciate hearing from you. It is always a pleasure for us. In the meantime, hope you have a great holiday and that you get out and make it a great day.
Thanks for watching our video. If you liked what you saw, hit that subscribe button. You can also check out full episodes of the show you've never seen before or watch your favorites again and again. And as always, make it a great day.